Radical Radio Collective.
Thanks, Dorothy, for asking me along. I love bushwalking after the rain.
No worries, Todd.
I don't think we're in Brisbane anymore. All this croaking and barking and bleating, oh my.
Why, Todd, those are frogs. Isn't it beautiful? I'll just take out my trusty Frog ID phone app and record some frog calls for the scientists and provide them with some valuable data to better understand and conserve frogs. There, done. And off goes my unique, time-stamped and GPS audio recording. Just like that. Easy peasy.
Wow, where do I get that Frog ID app?
Just download the Frog ID app and help crowdsource frog data right from your phone. It's free. Together, we can better help understand and conserve Australia's frogs, even the frogs in your backyard.
Frog ID is the Australian Museum's National Citizen Science Project. I've got a frog in my throat right now. 4ZZZ cares about our communities.
Good afternoon, listeners. You are tuned into 4ZZZ 102.1 FM, and this is Eco Radio, Australia's longest running peace and environment radio show, taking over your middle of the day in the middle of your week airwaves, and it's also the start of the month. We're at a fresh month in November, really getting on into that hot kind of season, so make sure to look out after yourself, drink lots of water, especially if you're going out in the bush. My name is Zack and my pronouns are he, they, and I'm joined by Andrew.
Yeah, good day everyone.
Well, he's made a triumphant return today.
Leaving the triumph low key, but you know, looking forward to some frog chat.
And I want to start off by acknowledging and pay my respects to the custodians of the country on which we broadcast. We are located in the city Magangin on Turrbal Yuggera land. I also want to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening in today. Our radio waves reach Kabi Kabi and Jinnabarra country in the north, Waka Waka country in the west. In the east, we pay our respects to the Quandamooka people, and down south, we reach Commonberry, Ngara-Quoll, Mudgeeraba, Mudgeeraba and Yugambeh countries. There is no Crown land. As we just alluded to, we will be talking about some frogs on the show today, as from the 8th, starting this Friday, to the 17th, which I believe is Sunday next week, there will be Frog ID Week. And what else will we be chatting about today?
Going to have a quick update from the courts, just in the CBD, about the trial this week of some the Boeing 4. We'll find out about the Boeing 4 and what's happening there. A quick update, and also a chat with someone from the Queensland Conservation Council. Just a little bit of a overview of the landscape for the environment movement and environment issues post-election here in Queensland. We'll leave the US election for another time, I think. But first, frogs.
It is Frog Week coming up, Frog ID Week's coming up this Friday. And as a lot of people may know, frogs are quite cryptic. We don't see too many of them, especially in Brisbane, but comparatively a lot to other cities. But still, they're very rare to actually see them hopping about out and that sort of thing in your backyard. Even though they are there a lot of the time, you can hear them quite often.
Staying out of the sun very wisely.
Yes. Frogs often have a very large vocal range. Some croak, others bark, but this kind of acts as a very unique and distinct identifier for each frog species. So we can often just tell and identify a frog species just by the way that they vocalize, and especially when including things like geolocation and time of day, this kind of can narrow things down even further. So there's a thing called Frog ID, and that is the Australian Museum's National Citizen Science Project. So Frog ID is an app where you can go out, record the call of different frog species, and then upload that to the app, and then you'll be able to get an expert to verify what kind of frog species it is. So Frog ID can be used year-round, but Frog ID Week is where they really try to drive forward this citizen science project of just being able to collect frog data. So there were actually 31,000 frog records made in the 2023 Frog ID Week, which is quite a lot. Hopefully we can beat that this year. But you may be wondering why it is essential for us to actually go and do this sort of work regarding collecting frog call data. Well, Australia has over 250 species of frogs, and some of them are doing very well, but others not so much, and they are struggling dramatically. In fact, there's been 4 extinctions of frogs in Australia since the 1980s. There are a number of threats to them at the moment, which include invasive species, chytrid fungus, the habitat clearing, and we're starting to actually see the effects of climate change on these amphibians. And this kind of citizen science project informs frog environmental health, population and distribution, and we can kind of just see how they are responding to changing ecosystems. It just figures out better ways to conserve them, essentially. So if you do have the time, go out there, go out in the bush, even in your backyard, there'll potentially be frogs. Make some recordings, just help out the frog scientists as much as they can, so we can get accurate ideas on distribution of different frog species, how they're doing population-wise, so that we can better inform their conservation.
Another example of the essential role that volunteers can play in
100%.
Valuating to all the
Citizen
people centrally there, all that stuff. Yeah,
and it doesn't take much work at all, really. Just download the app, especially if you're already in a bit of a nature reserve. You're going to be able to pick up a lot of frog calls and see where things are at.
We can be confident it goes to a trustworthy source of frog scientists and not to the CIA to use to send forth their mutated frog army to take over the...
That'd be a very interesting conspiracy theory. I'm sure one of them exists out there. Maybe it's an Alex Jones, more of an Alex Jones sort of things, where there's specific vocalization that determines if the frogs are gay or not.
Who knows what evil purposes they could do with that data. But I'm sure it's used for good. Well, I'm certain it's used for good, not least maintaining biodiversity and all that stuff. It's not just trying to maintain frogs because they're cute, but like almost all these species, keep the whole
ecosystem
web
going.
Of everything going.
Yeah.
Our next guest, who should be on the phone there now, we've got Anthony Gough from Queensland Conservation Council. Can you hear us?
Hi, yes, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. It's self and Zack as well on air. So just before, we're just wanting to do a little bit of overview of the post-election environment, as it were, in Queensland. Your general message to people is QCC's role as peak environment group. Should we just give up in despair and all is lost, or something slightly more positive?
Yeah, I think maybe cautiously optimistic and hopeful is where we'd like to go. So QCC, Queensland Conservation Council, is the peak body for environment groups in Queensland. We have 60 members, which are like small to medium to large environment groups all across the state. We worked really hard ourselves and with our members over the past year to really stack up hopefully as muscular a nature and climate campaign as we could for the state election. We found that people were really engaged over that time. So in the end, we ended up distributing 3,500 nature signs, more climate signs to punters. We had, a threatened species day rally where 300 people marched in the city, and we had 150 volunteers contributing to the work, doing door knocking, talking to people about climate and nature, and getting their concerns and trying to get those issues on the radar. Like over the past year, we've engaged with David Crisafulli and Sam O'Connor, who was the environment spokesperson. I think that we felt that they engaged quite, in a serious manner with the issues. They talked about the importance of environment and talked about some of the challenges that Queensland is facing. Through the campaign, we saw a number of key, important, good commitments out of the LNP. So first and foremost was the, bipartisan commitment to 75% emissions reduction target by 2035, which is, a really high and robust target compared to other states in Australia. So that was a really good commitment. Another great commitment that we got from them was around land clearing. So under Campbell Newman's administration, they tore up the land clearing laws, which is the Vegetation Management Act, that sent land clearing skyrocketing in Queensland, and that's got more under control under the Palaszczuk Miles government. So Christopher Lee and Senator Connor committed not to touching those laws. So that's, of course, we need to make those laws much stronger. But in the meantime, it's a good commitment that they won't backslide on those laws as well. Of course, the other thing is that, the repeated commitments not to go down the nuclear pathway for energy. So, that's really important, especially as we move into the federal context as well. So the big question for us in the first 100 days of this government is, what's the plan to reach 75% emissions reduction? So Labor had the Queensland Energy and Jobs Plan, which was a really complicated and complex but well thought through plan to decarbonise energy, and that's going to be torn up by the LNP, and they still haven't told us what's going to replace it. So that's really crucial in terms of moving forward with the renewable energy transition, making sure we get those emissions down.
So as a, person in the general public, and we were just talking before when we were talking about Frog ID Week, of the role that, every individual citizen can play, whether it's monitoring frog populations or, pressuring political parties to keep their commitments, and, even those that aren't in government to prioritise particular issues. What does your average member of the public do? Do they sit back and say, it's all right, the Queensland Conservation Council have got it sorted, or all these other environment groups, or is there a role that people can play individually, whether at local level or more widely?
Yeah, 100%. So, QCC and I don't think any environment organisation, has any ability to change things by themselves, and we rely on, the passionate supporters and volunteers and donors and everyday people doing what they can in different ways. Our volunteers are, taking a short, well-earned break from, hitting the polling booths and handing out scorecards. We hand about over 25,000 scorecards over the election, but they are keen to get in and talk to MPs, so talk to the newly elected or re-elected MPs to make sure that we are not, that the job's not over, it's just begun. So they're really passionate and keen to get in there and talk about their issues and make sure that the new MPs know that they're watching them in terms of their commitments to nature. And so, we really, really encourage people to jump onto our website and go to become a volunteer and to kind of join that. So, I think that we all know that MPs, the people that they listen to most, ideally is the people who make up their electorate. So getting in there and talking to people, making sure that we kind of maintain pressure on the new government as well is super important. And the other thing I'd say is, there's a federal election a mere potentially 6 months away within that time span. So, we are going to be doing a lot in terms of drawing attention to the risks of nuclear power. And what the risk of nuclear power really is the risk of more coal and gas in the short term. And so, watch this space in terms of coming along to community events and rallies and things like that to draw attention to that divisive issue as well.
So in your experience, as an activist and advocate and, in your QCC roles, etc., how valuable is it for people to do that local engagement with their local MPs? Obviously there's, pressure of ministers and all of that, but the local MPs, that have just got into government at state level, they want to stay there a while. I think they are aware of that Campbell Newman lesson, that you don't automatically get re-elected. How important is that for those local representatives and local parties to have that connection?
I think it's crucial. Yeah, I think as citizens, we need to talk to our MPs way more about the things that matter to us, so that we're not just a homogenous blob of voters. And particularly, if we're engaging with people who we may not always see eye to eye with, I think it's really important to get in there and be human and talk to them, as a voter about the things that you care about, the local aspects of the environment that you want to protect. And, you can do it organised with other people through like a QCC MP event, or you can write them a letter, you can give them a call. I just think it's really important that we keep those communication avenues open and we genuinely express our concerns to the people who are elected to represent us. And I think they have there's common ground that you can find with people, and particularly around local issues, the old think global, act local. I think it's absolutely crucial.
All right. Well, thank you for that update and insight, and we'll obviously be encouraging people to engage, whether it's on specific issues or some of those broad brush ones like climate change or biodiversity, land clearing, etc. Going forward, federal election and as the new state government gets bedded down. But good luck with your part of the task, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Anthony Gough, Deputy Director of the Queensland Conservation Council, and check out their website if you want to engage with their stuff. It's 29 minutes after midday. I've got an update on the Boeing 4, I think we call them, in their court case that's happening as we speak. The usual Bushcare Roundup as well. And as promised, hopefully we have on the line Andy Paine, spokesperson for, what you calling yourselves, the Boeing 4?
Yes, although it's only 2 people in court currently, but there's a couple of people in court charged with going into the Boeing office and doing a protest there.
We'll try not to take up too much of your time because I know the court action is literally happening now. But just a quick update of, these folks that have been arrested and charged in regards to the Boeing manufacturing plant here in Brisbane. I guess what are the charges, what it's about, and what's going on with the court thing. It was just all of that in a few minutes. and how can people support as well? Because I know there's solidarity get-togethers each morning as well this week.
Yeah, sure. Well, those familiar with the court system would know that it moves quite slowly, and so the charges today relate to back in January when we're a couple of months into Israel's bombardment of Gaza, which of course has since been spread to other places in Lebanon now. And so a couple of months in, people were trying to find links, I guess, into where our local community was involved in this. We don't want to be bystanders sitting there watching what's going on. There's really horrific atrocities going on, and so people sought out to find links. And one place they did that was weapons manufacturers in our city, one of which is Boeing, one of the world's biggest weapons manufacturers. And so there were a couple of protests done at Boeing's office in the city, and after the second time people had entered the building, police came in and charged everyone. And so if you're familiar with protests, people are normally charged with, say, trespass or contravening a police direction, though in this case the charges are much more serious, indictable offences, assault and willful damage. And so that's the 2 people, Margie and Dave, who are in court. They're fighting these charges to say that just because there's concerted protests that are annoying weapons companies and police doesn't mean that you can give charges that aren't appropriate. So that's basically the gist of the court case.
And it's pretty major contribution Boeing make. I mean, people hear of Boeing, they think, oh yeah, they make airplanes, but they're a major contributor, and they're right here in our city.
Oh yeah, it's a huge presence in Brisbane. We just heard in court yesterday there's 1,500 employees at the Boeing office in the city, but they also have other places around Brisbane, and the majority of these staff work in what's called Boeing Defence, right? Boeing making weapons. They also make 747 passenger planes, but most of their business is in weapons, and in any part of the warfare chain you can find Boeing there. They make missiles, they make jet bombers, they make nuclear weapons, unmanned drones, and they're currently working on fully autonomous weapons. And so Boeing, they're deeply embedded in any conflict around the world, and they certainly sell a lot of weapons to Israel.
And tell us a little bit just about the, why don't you call them the gatherings, support gatherings rather than protests, I suppose, or a bit of both, just happening each morning throughout the week?
Yeah, well, this is part of a way of making it not just a court case. I guess that's how the legal system wants to frame that. It's one individual against the state. We say that if people are standing up for a cause, then they're representing everyone, all of us, you know, who are affected by that cause. And so we want to get together to show support and to make the court cases part of the resistance. You know, there's a great history of civil disobedience, and so if people get arrested and go to court, then that's an act of resistance as well. And so, yeah, we're gathering 7:45 every morning. Sorry, I've just got an intercom going. We're gathering at 7:45 every morning at the Boeing office on the corner of Albert and Charlotte Street, and then we move from there to the court. And so anybody's welcome to join us, and if you're in for some thrilling court action, you can come and watch the court case as well. It'll be still going tomorrow.
All right, okay, so tomorrow, maybe Friday, anybody that, or not Friday, don't know.
It is listed to go to Friday. I'm not sure it'll go that long. We'll see.
Okay, and people that want updates, for anyone that still uses Twitter, which I do, Wage Peace AU, can give you some updates.
Oh yeah, on all the other social media as well, Wage Peace is where it's at.
Excellent. All right, well, good luck with it all. Been talking with Andy Paine. Have they got a catchy title? Is it the Boeing 4, the Boeing 2,
it started out as the Boeing 4, but the legal system has sort of separated it a bit. But, the Boeing 2 now.
That's all right. Don't have to have a catchy title. Just wonder if you did. But, thanks for your time. Talking with Andy Paine, who people may well know and recognise his voice from Paradigm Shift on Fridays when he's not helping support activists, peace activists, anti-war activists, such as these. So, good luck with it all. Passed on our best wishes, and thanks for your time in amongst Zack. Can move slowly, but can move very quickly, very suddenly, court proceedings. So appreciate you just giving us a few minutes of your time.
All right, no worries. Thanks, Andrew.
Cheers. Time for the Bushcare Roundup, I guess. Better make sure we fit it in.
Got to play the intro. There we go.
It's a Bushcare Roundup. They've been pulling out weeds, and then they put in trees. It's a Bushcare Roundup.
So, on Friday the 8th, from 6:45 till 8, we have Life Inside a Hollow Nocturnal Survey, and that one is out at Benowa. From 6:45pm till 8pm, we have the Life of Frogs spotlighting out in Mudgeeraba. Get out to that one if you can. It'll be very useful to head out there for Frog ID Week, as we've talked about on the show earlier. Then on Saturday the 9th, from 8:30am, we have the Bunya Crossing Bushcare, and that one is out at Bunya Crossing Reserve, Eatons Hill. From 9 till 11:30am, we have the Wildlife Queensland Quoll Discovery Day. That one is 23 Maple Street in Maleny. Then on Sunday the 10th at 6am, we have the Taringa Community Gardening Bee at Taringa Community Garden. At 7:30, we have the Brandon Road Bushcare. That one is at Brandon Road in Runcorn. Then from 11 till 1pm, we have the Rally for Palestine in King George Square. Then finally, Wednesday next week, we have the 7:30, from 7:30 till 9:30, we have the Success Street Bushcare on the corner of Success Street and Beatty Road in Acacia Ridge. And that is it for Eco Radio this week.
Excellent.
It's been a very successful return for Andrew here.
Oh, thank you for that feedback. That's feedback of one. I'll put it out to a wider poll just to get a broader sample.
Yeah.
But, off to a good start.
Text us in. Give us a review of Andrew's performance today.
See if they'll invite me back again. But yes. Stay tuned for Sonic Alien, and thanks again to all the subscribers out there, and we'll go out.
Jordan will be talking about Renault, be having an interview with Renault and Q Music this episode, and they also play some groovy tunes, as they always assure me, so they'll make sure, they'll take care of you until 3pm, so stick around for that.
Excellent. Thanks for listening. Eco Radio back next week, as always, Wednesday at noon.